America is about to host the largest World Cup in football history. More matches than any nation has ever hosted before. The biggest stadiums, the biggest television market, the semifinals, the final. On paper, this should be America's tournament. So why are some of the most exciting stories unfolding somewhere else? Why does the opening match belong to Mexico? Why are football fans talking about Toronto almost as much as New York, Dallas, and Los Angeles? And why are some of the most anticipated World Cup experiences taking shape outside the country, hosting most of the games? Because World Cups are not remembered for schedules, budgets, or match allocations. They are remembered for moments, the cities that felt alive, the crowds that shook stadiums, the places where football felt real. And as the countdown to 2026 continues, a surprising battle is emerging. Not for the trophy, not for hosting rights, but for something far more valuable, the identity of the tournament itself. At least, that was the plan. When FIFA awarded the 2026 World Cup to North America, the balance seemed obvious. The United States would become the center of the tournament. It secured 78 of the 104 matches. It secured the semifinals. It secured the final. It secured access to the largest sports media market on Earth. For FIFA, the logic was straightforward. If football wanted its biggest World Cup ever, America offered the biggest stage. The infrastructure already existed. The commercial opportunities were unmatched. The sponsorship potential was enormous. Everything pointed toward the same conclusion. The United States would become the face of World Cup 2026. But football has always had a strange habit of ignoring logic. Again and again, tournaments become defined by stories nobody expected. The moments that survive are rarely the ones created. In boardrooms, they emerge from emotion, atmosphere, and identity. And increasingly, those qualities are drawing attention beyond America's borders. And before a ball is kicked, Mexico has already won something important. Every World Cup begins with a single image: a stadium, a crowd, an anthem. A moment that introduces the tournament to billions of people around the world. In 2026, that moment belongs to Mexico City, not Los Angeles, not Dallas, not New York. Mexico City, the opening match will take place inside Estadio Azteca, one of the most iconic venues in football history. This is where Pelé lifted the World Cup, where Maradona produced some of the sport's most unforgettable moments. For generations of supporters, Azteca is more than a stadium. It is football mythology. When the opening ceremony begins, nearly 90,000 supporters will create an atmosphere that no marketing campaign can manufacture. The chants, the flags, the anticipation, and the history will be broadcast across the world. For billions of viewers, their first emotional connection to World Cup 2026 will not come through America, it will come through Mexico. Then there is the country nobody expected to become one of the tournament's biggest stories. Canada enters this World Cup carrying something unique. Unlike traditional football powers, it is not trying to defend a legacy. It is creating one. For the first time in history, men's World Cup matches will be played on Canadian soil. That alone gives every moment additional significance. But Canada's greatest advantage may have nothing to do with football itself. Toronto is one of the most diverse cities on Earth. Communities from nearly every competing nation already call it home. That means supporters arriving from around the world will not feel like visitors for long. Their communities are already there. Their flags are already there. Their culture is already there. Every match becomes local. Every crowd becomes global. The result is something television cameras love: authenticity. Not manufactured excitement, not carefully staged celebrations, genuine emotional investment. And because Canada is experiencing this moment for the first time, the energy surrounding it feels fresh, unpredictable, and real. And this is where the conversation becomes uncomfortable. Football's greatest asset has never been infrastructure. It has always been atmosphere. The roar after a goal, the tension before kickoff, the feeling that an entire city is living every second of a match together. Mexico already possesses that football culture. Canada is discovering it at exactly the right moment. The United States faces a more complicated challenge. American sports culture is enormous, but football still competes with the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, college sports, and countless entertainment options. That does not mean America cannot create unforgettable World Cup scenes. It absolutely can. But unlike Mexico, where football passion is woven into daily life, those moments cannot simply be assumed, they must be earned. And because expectations are so high, every comparison will be amplified, every crowd shot, every attendance figure, every atmosphere debate, fair or unfair, the scrutiny will be relentless. But the biggest danger for America is not empty seats. It is the story those seats create. In modern football, perception spreads faster than reality. One viral crowd celebration can reach millions before a match even ends. One dramatic atmosphere clip can shape public opinion overnight. If Mexico produces louder crowds, if Toronto produces unforgettable fan festivals, if supporters appear to be having more memorable experiences elsewhere, the narrative will write itself. Suddenly, the conversation stops being about how many matches America hosts. It becomes about where football feels most alive. And once football fans embrace a narrative, changing it becomes incredibly difficult. The United States is not simply hosting matches. It is inviting the entire football world to judge whether football has truly arrived in America. That creates pressure, unlike anything previous host nations have experienced. The challenge is not proving America can organize a World Cup. The challenge is proving America can become its emotional center. And that is when this becomes something bigger than football. Modern World Cups are not just sporting events. They are global showcases. They shape perceptions of countries. They influence tourism. They generate national pride. Every host nation wants the same thing: to be remembered. The United States is pursuing scale. Canada is pursuing inclusivity. Mexico is pursuing passion. Three different visions competing inside the same tournament. That is what makes 2026 unlike any World Cup before it. For the first time, three host nations are effectively competing for ownership of the narrative while sharing the same event. The winner will not necessarily be the country hosting the most matches. It will be the country producing the moments people cannot stop talking about. The city everyone wishes they had visited. The crowd everyone wishes they had joined. The atmosphere everyone wishes they had experienced. In many ways, the real competition began long before kickoff. The United States will still host the final. It will still host the majority of matches. It will still dominate the tournament on paper. But football rarely remembers paper. It remembers moments. Mexico may own the opening chapter. Canada may become the tournament's surprise story. And America may still deliver the grand finale. Together, they are creating something football has never seen before. A World Cup shared not just by geography, but by identity. And when the trophy is finally lifted in New Jersey, billions of fans will have formed their own conclusion. Not about who hosted the most matches, but about which nation truly felt like the heart of the tournament, because the real competition may have already begun, and the battle for the soul of World Cup 2026 could become just as fascinating as the football itself.